In Jerusalem, the U.S. Embassy is urging all Americans to leave Israel as the deadline fast approaches for Iraq to get out of Kuwait. An embassy spokesman said dependents of U.S. government personnel in Israel or the occupied territories have been authorized to leave on a voluntary basis. The rest of the tens of thousands of American passport holders were also urged to consider leaving the country. In addition, a traveler's advisory has been issued for Americans to defer any trips to Israel during the current crisis. And at the airports, foreigners are flooding into the terminals, trying to get a flight out of the country. Jeff Weigel files this report from Jerusalem.
With just days remaining in the countdown to possible war in the Persian Gulf, hundreds of foreigners continue to leave Israel. At Ben Gurion International Airport, just outside Tel Aviv, travelers are anxious to get out as soon as possible.
We had a flight booked on the 22nd of January to go back to England, and our parents phoned us up last week and told us to book up another flight and just get out of Israel before the 15th.
But flights are becoming harder to find. Recent big jumps in insurance coverage have forced 8 airlines to suspend flights to and from Israel. The national airline, Et al., says it will serve passengers let down by the canceled airlines, but admits it's having a hard time keeping up with the demand. Many of those leaving are overseas students. At Jerusalem's Hebrew University, exams were moved up so foreigners could leave before the deadline. As many as 75% of the students are leaving. Most say they are reluctant to go, but say they have no choice.
I was here in school. I don't want it to. They called me and said there's a ticket and fly back. All my friends are leaving now.
Not all are leaving, though. Those who are staying say they feel safe, but they're taking precautions just in case.
Life is just going on here. There is panic, but it's among the foreign population. The Israelis are no sort of panic at all. They've seen a lot worse. And it's really, they're taking precautions and this and that. I'm sure everyone knows we got gas masks and all that other type of stuff.
Israel is downplaying the threat of attack by Iraq, and Iraq has said it won't attack Israel first. But many foreigners leaving Israel say they're not taking any chances. They say the sooner they get out, the better. For Pacifica News, I'm Jeff Weigel in Jerusalem.
Israel put its armed forces on their highest alert today since the beginning of the Persian Gulf crisis, and Israeli officials are expressing pessimism that any diplomatic solution can be found. Meanwhile, Israelis and Palestinians are hunkering down as the final hours begin to tick away before the UN deadline. Tonight we have 2 reports. First, Jeff Weigel on preparations by the Israelis.
All across Israel, people are preparing for the possibility of a war that could be just hours away. Government officials here say Israel is operating on the assumption that Iraq will seek to carry out its threats to attack Israel. The Israeli Defense Forces are on full alert, and civil defense preparations are in high gear. The public has been warned that any attack could be a chemical attack, and across the country people are stockpiling food, getting their gas masks together, and taping windows with plastic sheeting. In the streets of Jerusalem, there is an uneasy calm. Most people say they feel safe, but they're taking all the precautions.
People buy all these things they have to block their houses and all this. They buy lots of food. And I know, well, my family not so afraid. We have shelter.
It'll be a little worrying, but I think it will be all right because we hope Saddam Hussein understands he cannot fight against the whole world. It's impossible. We don't want to war.
All during the Gulf crisis, Israel has kept a low profile. In recent talks with American Undersecretary of State Lawrence Eagleburger, Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir refused U.S. requests not to retaliate if Iraq attacks Israel. He said Israel's defense is the exclusive responsibility of the Israeli government. Most Israelis agree, and some say they're afraid of what might happen if Saddam Hussein's war machine is not wiped out by the Americans or by the Israelis.
He will not have another chance because if he's not finished, if will not be war, then probably every week or 2 weeks we have problem with him.
And so Israelis say they're prepared both psychologically and militarily for any Iraqi missile attack. They say the only thing to do now is sit and wait. For Pacifica News, I'm Jeff Weigel in Jerusalem.
There were mixed reactions in Israel. Many Israelis broke the restrictions on going outside to celebrate, but many Palestinians in the occupied territories were downcast. Jeff Weigel files this report.
Religious Jews at the Western Wall in Jerusalem, celebrating reports that many of the Iraqi missiles pointing at Israel have been destroyed by today's Allied bombing.
They're singing a song that thanks God for delivering us. The words say that other people tried to have bad thoughts against us, to rise up against us, and their deeds and their words came upon them, back upon them.
All of the crowd of about 100 people defied warnings by civil defense officials to stay at home. After a tense morning of being told to have their gas masks ready for an expected attack at any moment, many Israelis tonight are breathing a sigh of relief. The mood in the airport of Old Jerusalem was quite different. In a sign of mourning and defiance, black flags could be seen on several buildings. There was a heavy Israeli army presence here, and a curfew was in effect for all the occupied territories. Early today, there were disturbances in East Jerusalem. Many Palestinians here expressed disappointment and bitterness at the news. For many Palestinians, Saddam Hussein's efforts to draw attention to their plight had given them hope.
It gives us the hope that we will reach for solution for this problem, for our problem, the Palestinian problem.
But as the Allied offensive against Iraq continues, that hope, they say, is fading. For Pacifica News, I'm Jeff Weigel in Jerusalem.
From Washington, this is the Pacifica Report for Tuesday, January 22nd. I'm Laura Iyama, and in the news, more Scud missiles land in Israel. This time, there are serious casualties. The air raid siren sounded across Israel today as Israeli radio said 2 Iraqi Scuds had been aimed at the country. NBC News is reporting that an explosion ripped through a residential section of Tel Aviv and wounded a number of people. The network's correspondent said there were a great many people gathered at the site. This would be the first Israeli Scud attack since the UN rushed in more Patriot missiles on Saturday. Jeff Weigel has more.
The siren sounded shortly before 9 p.m. Israel time, and once again Israelis put on their gas masks and huddled in sealed rooms. Israeli military officials are keeping a tight lid on details of this third Iraqi missile attack, saying only one conventional missile hit the Tel Aviv area. They also said Patriot anti-missiles had been fired, but early unconfirmed reports say as many as 5 conventional missiles were fired, with 3 hitting the Tel Aviv area and surrounding. These reports say the other 2 were shot down by Patriots. There have been areas damaged by the Iraqi missiles, and it's believed there are several people injured. Scores of ambulances have rushed to the area, and many people were being seen carried away on stretchers. There has been no official reaction yet from the Israeli government. The question now is whether the government will continue to heed U.S. requests not to retaliate, or will they strike back at Iraq, as many here believe. For Pacifica News, I'm Jeff Weigel in Jerusalem.